The gunshot echoed through the warehouse as Jimin pressed Amora against the cold metal container, his body shielding hers from the chaos erupting around them. His hand covered her mouth, feeling her rapid breath against his palm as bullets ricocheted off steel. 3 months ago, he would have left anyone in this position to fend for themselves. 3 months ago, before her. "Don't move," he whispered harshly in her ear, his Korean accent thick with adrenaline. "Don't even breathe loud." Amora's dark eyes were wide with terror, her body trembling beneath his. This wasn't supposed to happen. The art gallery opening was supposed to be safe, legitimate, a front for his family's operations but nothing more. Then his cousin's rival gang crashed through the doors, and suddenly the elegant woman in the purple dress who'd been admiring his mother's donated paintings was running for her life. He'd grabbed her without thinking. Pure instinct. And now his men were laying down cover fire while he protected a stranger. The shooting stopped. Jimin's second-in-command, Tai, shouted something in Korean. Clear. They were clear. Jimin slowly removed his hand from Amora's mouth. She gasped, her chest heaving, and he realized how close they were. Close enough to see the gold flecks in her brown eyes. Close enough to smell the cocoa butter on her skin. "Are you hurt?" His voice came out rougher than intended. She shook her head, unable to speak. Her hands were gripping his suit jacket so tightly her knuckles had paled. "I need to get you out of here." Jimin pulled back, already scanning for exits. His mind was calculating, planning, doing what it did best. Survival mode. But something felt different. Wrong. His heart was racing not just from the fight but from the way she was looking at him. Like he was a monster. Which, fair enough, he was. "Who are you?" Amora finally found her voice. It was softer than he expected, with a slight accent he couldn't place. "African, definitely, but which country? What just happened?" "Questions later. Moving now." He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the back exit where Tai was waiting with the car. She resisted. Actually dug her heels in. "I'm not going anywhere with you until you tell me what's happening." Jimin turned back, incredulous. People didn't refuse him. Ever. "Lady, men with guns just tried to kill everyone in that building. You want to stay and wait for the police to ask questions you definitely don't want to answer." "Why wouldn't I want to answer their questions? I didn't do anything wrong." He almost laughed. The naivety was stunning. "You were at a Kim family event. That makes you a witness. And in my world, witnesses have short life expectancies." That got through to her. Fear flashed across her face again, but this time it was mixed with something else. Understanding. She knew what he was saying was true even if she didn't want to believe it. "Fine," she whispered. "But I want answers." "You'll get them. In the car. Now move." This time she didn't resist. Jimin kept her hand in his as they ran through the warehouse, his other hand on the gun at his hip. Tai had the black sedan running, back door open. They dove inside and the car was moving before the door even closed. Amora pressed herself against the opposite door, as far from Jimin as possible in the confined space. Her purple dress was torn at the hem, and there was a smudge of dust on her cheek. She looked like she'd been through a war zone, which technically she had. "Start talking," she demanded, trying to sound brave. It almost worked. Jimin studied her for a long moment. He should take her to a hotel, give her money, send her on her way with a warning to forget everything she saw. That's what he'd do with anyone else. Clean. Simple. Safe. But he found himself talking instead. "My name is Kim Jimin. My family runs certain operations in Seoul. Operations that sometimes attract the wrong kind of attention from rival organizations. Tonight was one of those times. Wrong place, wrong time for you. I'm sorry you got caught up in it." "Operations," she repeated flatly. "You mean crime. You're a criminal. I prefer businessmen with flexible ethics." "That's not funny." "It wasn't meant to be." He leaned forward, suddenly serious. "Listen carefully. You saw something tonight you weren't supposed to see. That puts you in danger. Those men will be looking for witnesses. I can protect you, but only if you trust me." "Trust you?" Amora's voice rose. "I don't even know you. And from what I can tell, you're exactly the kind of person my mother warned me about. Smart woman, your mother. Stop joking. Jimin ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. This wasn't going how he planned. Nothing about tonight was going how he planned. What's your name? She hesitated. Amora. Amora Okafor. Nigerian? Yes. How did you know? I do business in Lagos sometimes. I recognize the accent. He didn't mention that his business in Lagos involved arms deals and money laundering. Some things were better left unsaid. Of course you do, Amora muttered. She looked out the window at the Seoul streets flying past. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. My family has several properties. I'm taking you to one where no one will think to look. And then what? You just expect me to hide out while you, what? Hunt down the people who attacked us? That's exactly what I expect. Amora turned back to face him, and Jimin was struck again by how beautiful she was. Not in the polished, plastic way of the women who usually threw themselves at him. Real beauty. Natural. The kind that didn't need makeup or designer clothes, though the purple dress definitely wasn't hurting. He mentally slapped himself. Focus. This was a protection job, nothing more. I have a life, Amora said firmly. A job. I teach English at an international school. I have students who depend on me. I can't just disappear. You will for a few days. Trust me, your students will understand. You don't get to make that decision for me. Jimin's jaw tightened. He was trying to save her life and she was arguing about teaching schedules. Miss Okafor, in about 2 hours, those men are going to review security footage, identify everyone who was at that gallery, and start making house calls. Would you like to be home when they arrive? That shut her up. Good. He needed her scared enough to listen but not so terrified she couldn't function. The car pulled up to a high-rise apartment building in Gangnam. Exclusive. Expensive. Anonymous. Perfect. Penthouse, Jimin told Tai in Korean. Make sure no one follows us up. And get someone to watch her apartment. If anyone shows up, I want to know immediately. Tai nodded and spoke rapidly into his phone while Jimin and Amora headed for the private elevator. She was silent now, processing everything. He could practically see her brain working, trying to find a way out of this situation. There wasn't one. Not tonight anyway. The penthouse was exactly what someone would expect from a Korean mobster's safe house. Modern, minimalist, expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, designer furniture that probably cost more than most people's cars, art on the walls that was definitely not legitimate. Amora walked in slowly, taking it all in. This is insane, she whispered. Make yourself comfortable. There's food in the kitchen, clothes in the bedroom if you want to change. Everything you need. Except my freedom. Jimin sighed. This isn't a prison. It's protection. There's a difference. Is there? She turned to face him, and there was fire in her eyes now. The fear was being replaced by anger. Because from where I'm standing, I'm trapped in a stranger's apartment with no way to contact my friends or family, no way to leave, completely dependent on a man who just admitted he's a criminal. That sounds like a prison to me. She had a point. He hated that she had a point. 1 week, Jimin said. Give me 1 week to handle this situation, and then you can go back to your normal life. I'll make sure of it. A week. Amora's voice cracked. I can't just vanish for a week. You can and you will. Because the alternative is being found by very bad people who will do very bad things to you just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. I've seen what they do to witnesses, Amora. I've seen the bodies. I've cleaned up the mess. So yes, you're going to stay here for 1 week, and you're going to let me keep you alive. Understand? She stared at him, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Then, slowly, she nodded. Good. Jimin pulled out his phone. I need to make some calls. There's a bathroom through there if you want to wash up. Try to get some rest. He turned away, already dialing, but her voice stopped him. Jimin. It was the first time she'd used his name. Something about hearing it in her accent did strange things to his chest. Yes. Thank you. For saving me back there. You didn't have to. He should tell her it was nothing. That he'd have done it for anyone. That it was just good business to avoid civilian casualties. Instead he said, "Yes, I did," and walked away before she could ask what he meant. He made a phone call and Ty was on the other side of the line. 3 men showed up at her apartment building. We intercepted them. They had guns and photos. She was definitely a target. Jimin's blood ran cold. Handle it. Quietly. Already done. But boss, this is bigger than we thought. They've got a whole list. Everyone from the gallery. This wasn't random. I know. They're sending a message. We'll send one back. Tomorrow. He hung up and downed his drink. Tomorrow would be bloody. His family didn't forgive attacks, and they definitely didn't forget. But tonight, he had other concerns. Soft footsteps behind him. Jimin turned to find Amora standing in the hallway, wearing one of his t-shirts. It hung to her knees, ridiculously oversized, and somehow that made her look even more vulnerable. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked. "Every time I close my eyes, I hear the gunshots." She hugged herself. "Is it always like this in your world?" "Not always. But often enough." "How do you live with it?" Jimin considered the question. No one had ever asked him that before. In his world, violence was just part of the job. You didn't question it. You didn't analyze it. You survived it. You get used to it, he finally said. Or you die. There's no middle ground. Amora walked closer, brave or foolish, he couldn't tell which. "That's a terrible way to live." "It's the only way I know." She studied him, really looked at him, and Jimin felt exposed in a way that had nothing to do with physical safety. "How old are you?" she asked. 29. "You?" 26. "Too young to die in a gang war." "Any age is too young for that." "Then why do you do it? Why not leave? Start over somewhere safe?" Jimin laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You don't leave this life, Amora. You're born into it or you're brought into it, but either way, you're in until you're dead. That's the rule. That's awful. That's reality." They stood in silence, the city lights reflecting in the windows, 2 people from completely different worlds stuck in the same impossible situation. Jimin knew he should send her back to bed. Maintain distance. Keep this professional. Instead he heard himself say, "Are you hungry? I could make something." Amora blinked, surprised. "You cook? Don't look so shocked. Even mobsters have to eat." A small smile tugged at her lips. The first real smile he'd seen from her. "Okay. Yeah. I'm starving actually." They moved to the kitchen, and Jimin found himself pulling out ingredients for jjigae, the spicy Korean stew his mother used to make before she passed. He hadn't cooked for anyone in years. Hadn't wanted to. But having Amora sitting at the counter, watching him work, felt strangely normal. "So you teach English?" he asked, chopping vegetables. "Yes. At an international school in Itaewon. Mostly elementary students. They're wonderful. Exhausting, but wonderful." "Do you like it here?" "In Seoul? I love it. I've been here for 2 years now. Came on a 1-year contract and just kept renewing. My family thinks I'm crazy for staying so far from home, but..." She trailed off, looking wistful. "I don't know. It feels right. Like this is where I'm supposed to be." Jimin added the ingredients to the pot, trying not to think about how her being here, in his kitchen, also felt right. That was dangerous thinking. "What about you?" Amora asked. "Have you always lived in Seoul?" "Born and raised. 4th generation Kim family. My great-grandfather started the organization after the Korean War. We've been here ever since." "So you never had a choice?" "About this life?" It wasn't a question, but Jimin answered anyway. "No. The moment I was born, my path was set. Train. Learn the business. Take over when my father steps down. That's my future." "That sounds lonely." He paused, ladle in hand. No one had ever called his life lonely before. Dangerous, yes. Violent, obviously. Immoral, probably. But lonely? It is, he admitted quietly. Very lonely. The stew was ready. Jimin ladled it into bowls and they ate in comfortable silence. Amora made appreciative noises that made him absurdly proud. When was the last time he'd cooked for someone? When was the last time he'd wanted to? This is delicious, she said. Thank you. You're welcome. Can I ask you something? And will you promise to answer honestly? Jimin tensed. Depends on the question. Am I really in danger? Or is this just an excuse to keep me here? He set down his spoon and looked at her directly. 3 men showed up at your apartment tonight. Armed. With your photo. My men intercepted them. So yes, Amora, you're in very real danger. The color drained from her face. Oh. I don't lie about things like this. When I say you're not safe, I mean it. How long? Her voice was small. How long until I can go home? I don't know. A week. Maybe more. However long it takes to neutralize the threat. Neutralize. She repeated the word like it tasted bad. You mean kill them? Yes. At least he was honest. Amora appreciated that even as it terrified her. She pushed her bowl away, appetite gone. I should let you get some sleep, Jimin said, standing. Tomorrow will be a long day. What happens tomorrow? You stay here. I go handle business. Nothing you need to worry about. Amora stood too, suddenly angry. Stop doing that. Stop treating me like a child. If I'm going to be trapped here, I deserve to know what's happening. Jimin's jaw clenched. She was right, but he didn't want to tell her. Didn't want her to know the ugly details of what he'd have to do to keep her safe. Tomorrow I meet with the rival gang, he said flatly. We discuss terms. If they don't agree to leave you alone, there will be consequences. Violent ones. Satisfied? No. But at least you're being honest. They stared at each other across the kitchen island, tension crackling in the air. Jimin should walk away. Go to his room. Maintain professional distance. Instead he moved around the island until he was standing directly in front of her. Close enough to touch. Close enough to see the pulse fluttering in her throat. I'm trying to protect you, he said softly. That's all I'm trying to do. I know. Amora's voice was barely a whisper. But it's hard to trust someone when you don't know anything about them. When your whole life is secrets and violence. What do you want to know? Everything. Who you really are beneath all this. She gestured vaguely at him, at the apartment, at the life he led. Jimin almost laughed. Beneath all this, there was nothing. Just violence and darkness and blood that never quite washed off. But looking at Amora, at the genuine curiosity in her eyes, he wanted to try. Wanted to be someone worth knowing. I'll make you a deal, he said. Every day you're here, I'll answer one question. Honestly. No matter what you ask. 1 question a day. That's the offer. Amora considered it. Okay. Deal. She held out her hand. Jimin took it, her skin warm against his. The handshake lasted a moment too long, both of them aware of it but neither pulling away first. Good night, Amora. Good night, Jimin. He watched her walk back to the guest room, his hand still tingling from her touch. This was a mistake. Getting involved with her, even just talking to her, was dangerous. For both of them. But as he headed to his own room, Jimin knew he was already too far gone to stop. The night stretched on. Jimin spent hours on the phone, coordinating with his family, getting updates on the attack, making plans for retaliation. This kind of disrespect couldn't go unanswered. The Kim family had rules, and violating their territory was a death sentence. But his mind kept drifting back to the woman in his guest room. Amora. She'd finally gone to sleep around 3 a.m., exhausted from adrenaline crash. He'd checked on her twice, telling himself it was just protocol. Making sure the asset was secure. Who was he kidding? She wasn't an asset. She was a complication. A beautiful, frustrating complication that made him feel things he had no business feeling. Jimin poured himself a drink and stood at the window, watching Seoul's lights. His father was going to kill him when he found out about this. Bringing a civilian to a safe house was bad enough. Bringing a foreign civilian with no connections to their world was worse. But what choice did he have? He could still see her face in the warehouse. The fear. The trust she'd placed in him when she took his hand. No one had looked at him like that in years. Like he was a person, not a monster. Not a killer in an expensive suit. His phone buzzed. Tai. The next morning, Jimin left before Amora woke up. He left a note on the counter with his phone number and instructions. Stay inside. Don't answer the door. Don't call anyone. He'd stocked the fridge with food and left his laptop with streaming services logged in. Prison with amenities, as she'd so accurately called it. The meeting with the rival gang went exactly as expected. Threats, posturing, refusal to back down. They wanted war, and the Kim family was happy to give it to them. By noon, Jimin had blood on his hands and 3 bodies that needed disposing of. By evening, the message was sent. Touch our people, touch our territory, and you die. He should have felt satisfied. Victorious. This was what he was good at. Violence. Control. Power. Instead he felt empty. All he could think about was getting back to the penthouse. To her. That realization made him pause outside his own front door. This was bad. Very bad. He couldn't afford to care about Amora. Caring meant weakness. Weakness got you killed in his world. But when he walked in and saw her curled up on the couch reading a book, something in his chest loosened. She looked up and smiled, genuine relief in her eyes. You're back. I was worried. No one worried about him. No one cared if he came home or not, except in terms of business succession. I'm fine, he said roughly. How was your day? Boring. Trapped. The usual. She set down her book. I used my one question though. I've been thinking about it all day. Already? I'm impatient. Amora stood and walked over to him. That's when she noticed his hands. He'd washed them, but there was still blood under his fingernails. Her eyes widened. What happened? Business. Don't worry about it. There's blood on you. I said don't worry about it. His voice came out harsher than intended. He didn't want her seeing this side of him. The killer. The monster. But Amora didn't flinch. Instead she reached out and took his hand, examining it. You're hurt. It's not my blood. I know. She looked up at him. That's what scares me. Jimin pulled his hand away. This is who I am, Amora. This is what I do. If you can't handle that, stop looking at me like I'm something I'm not. And what do you think I'm looking at you like? Like I'm human. Like I'm worth saving. I'm not. I stopped being worth saving a long time ago. I don't believe that. Then you're naive. Maybe. Amora crossed her arms. Or maybe you're so used to being a monster that you've forgotten how to be anything else. The words hit harder than any punch he'd taken today. Jimin stared at her, this woman who'd known him for less than 24 hours and somehow saw straight through every defense he'd built. What's your question? He asked, changing the subject. Have you ever wanted a different life? Before it was too late to choose? Yes. God, yes. Every single day. When I was 7, Jimin said slowly, I told my father I wanted to be a doctor. I'd seen one on TV saving people, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. Save people instead of hurt them. He laughed bitterly. He beat me so badly I couldn't walk for a week. Told me the only thing Kim men do is fight. We don't save. We conquer. That was the last time I wanted anything different. Amora's eyes glistened with unshed tears. That's horrible. That's my life. Jimin moved past her toward the kitchen. He needed distance. Needed to not see pity in her eyes. But she followed him. Of course she did. You could still save people, Amora said softly. You saved me. That was different. Why? Because. He turned to face her, frustrated. Because you weren't supposed to matter. You were supposed to be just another witness I protected and forgot about. But instead you're here, in my home, asking me questions that make me think about things I have no business thinking about, and I can't. He stopped himself. Can't what? Can't stop thinking about you. The admission came out raw. Honest. Terrifying. Amora's breath caught. Jimin. I know. It's insane. It's been one day. One day and you've gotten under my skin in a way no one ever has. That's not supposed to happen. In my world, feelings are liabilities. They get you killed. But I can't seem to help it. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken things. Then Amora stepped forward and did something completely unexpected. She hugged him. Jimin froze. When was the last time someone had hugged him? Not a formal greeting, not a manipulation tactic, just a genuine human embrace. He couldn't remember. Slowly, carefully, he wrapped his arms around her. She was warm and soft and smelled like the cocoa butter lotion she'd found in the bathroom. She felt like everything good he'd never deserved. You're not a monster, Amora whispered against his chest. Monsters don't save people. Monsters don't cook them dinner. Monsters don't look sad when they talk about wanting to be a doctor. You don't know what I've done. You're right. I don't. And maybe if I did, I'd be terrified. But right now, in this moment, all I know is that you've kept me safe. You've been kind to me. And you're clearly in pain, and I hate that. Jimin pulled back just enough to look at her face. Why do you care? You don't even know me. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe being kidnapped has given me Stockholm Syndrome. She smiled slightly. Or maybe some people are worth caring about, even when logic says you shouldn't. He should let her go. Step back. Maintain professional distance. This was already too complicated, too dangerous. Instead, Jimin cupped her face in his hands and kissed her. It was soft at first, tentative, giving her every opportunity to pull away. She didn't. Instead she melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt, kissing him back with an intensity that made his head spin. This was wrong. This was dangerous. This was the stupidest thing he'd ever done. This was addictive. Jimin broke the kiss, breathing hard. We can't do this. Why not? Because when this is over, you're going back to your normal life. Your teaching job, your friends, your world where people don't kill each other for business. And I'm staying in mine. There's no future here, Amora. Just a week of borrowed time. Then let's not think about the future. Amora's eyes were dark, determined. Let's just have now. Every instinct screamed at him to refuse. To put distance between them. To protect her from himself. But Jimin was tired of being strong. Tired of being alone. Tired of pretending he didn't feel things. So he kissed her again. This time there was no hesitation. No holding back. They stumbled toward his bedroom, hands exploring, both of them desperate for connection, for something real in their artificial situation. Amora pulled back at the bedroom door. Wait. I should tell you something. What? She bit her lip, suddenly shy. I haven't, this would be my first time. Jimin went completely still. You're a virgin? Is that a problem? No. God, no. But Amora, I don't want you to do this because you feel obligated or because you think you owe me or. I want this, she interrupted firmly. I want you. Not because you saved me. Not because I'm grateful. Because in the past day, you've shown me more genuine emotion, more real humanity, than most men show in months. And I know it's crazy and fast and probably stupid, but I don't care. I want this. I want you. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. That night changed everything. Jimin had been with women before, plenty of them, but this was different. This wasn't just physical. This was intimate in a way that terrified him. Amora gave herself to him completely, trustingly, and he found himself being gentle in ways he didn't know he was capable of. Afterward, they lay tangled together in his bed, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her shoulder. That was. Amora started. Yeah. Does it always feel like that? No. Jimin's voice was rough. Never like that. She tilted her head to look at him. Are you okay? You seem tense. I'm terrified, he admitted. Because you were right earlier. You're addictive. And I don't know how I'm supposed to let you go when this is over. Then don't. It's not that simple. Why not? You said yourself you wanted a different life. Maybe this is your chance. Maybe I'm your chance. Jimin wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe he could just walk away from his family, his obligations, his entire world. But he'd seen what happened to people who tried to leave. They didn't survive long. The Kim family doesn't let people go, he said quietly. Once you're in for life. If I tried to leave, they'd kill me. And worse, they'd kill you just to make a point. I can't risk that. So what are you saying? We have this week and then nothing? I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying this is complicated and dangerous and I wish I had better answers. Amora was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, my question for tomorrow. We're still doing that. We made a deal. My question is, if you could have one thing, anything in the world, consequences be damned, what would it be? Jimin looked down at her, at this brave, beautiful woman who'd crashed into his life and turned everything upside down. This, he said simply. You. A life where I could wake up next to you every morning and not worry about who's trying to kill us. That's what I'd want. Tears slipped down Amora's cheeks. That's what I'd want too. They held each other as the soul night deepened around them, both knowing their borrowed time was running out. The next few days fell into a strange routine. Jimin would leave early to handle business, dealing with the aftermath of the gang war he'd started. Amora would spend her days reading, cooking, and waiting. Every evening he'd come home, sometimes with bruises, sometimes with blood, but always he'd come home. To her. They talked for hours. She told him about growing up in Lagos, about her family, about why she'd left Nigeria to teach abroad. He told her about his mother's death, about the weight of family expectations, about the violence that had shaped his entire existence. And every night, they'd fall into bed together, both desperate to feel something real, something good in the darkness of their circumstances. On the 5th day, everything changed. Jimin came home early, his face grim. Amora knew immediately something was wrong. What happened? The rival gang wants a meeting. A real negotiation this time. They're ready to discuss terms. That's good, right? Maybe. Or it's a trap. Either way, I have to go. When? Tonight. Jimin pulled her close. Listen carefully. If I don't come back. Don't say that. If I don't come back, he continued firmly, Tai will get you out of the country. He has instructions, money, everything you need. You go back to Nigeria and you forget this ever happened. Forget me. I could never forget you. You have to promise me. Promise you'll run if something goes wrong. Amora looked into his eyes, seeing the fear there. Not for himself, but for her. I promise. But you have to promise me something too. What? Promise you'll fight. Promise you'll come back to me. Because I'm not done with you yet, Kim Jimin. We still have so much to figure out. He kissed her, pouring everything he felt into it. All the words he couldn't say. All the futures he couldn't promise. I'll come back, he whispered against her lips. I swear it. But as Jimin left that night, he wasn't sure it was a promise he could keep. The meeting was in neutral territory, an abandoned factory on the outskirts of Seoul. Both sides brought equal numbers of men. Both sides came armed. The tension was thick enough to choke on. The rival boss, a man named Choi, sat across from Jimin with a smug smile. The mighty Kim family wants peace. How the times change. We want resolution, Jimin corrected coldly. You attacked our territory. That requires consequences. Or what? You'll kill more of my men? We can do this dance forever, Kim. Both our organizations bleeding out until there's nothing left. Then what do you propose? A truce. We stay out of your territory, you stay out of ours. No more bloodshed. No more bodies. It was too easy. Too clean. Jimin's instincts screamed trap. And the witnesses from the gallery, he asked carefully. Forgotten. As long as the truce holds, they are safe. All of them. All of them. Jimin studied Choi's face, looking for deception. He found none, which somehow made it worse. I'll need guarantees. Concrete terms. Of course. We'll draw up formal agreements. But Kim. Choi leaned forward. I hear you've taken a personal interest in one particular witness. The African woman. Pretty little thing. Every muscle in Jimin's body went rigid. That's none of your concern. On the contrary, it's very much my concern. See, I think that woman is your weakness. And in our world, weaknesses get exploited. Touch her and the truce is void. Along with your life. So protective. Choi smiled wider. What is she to you? Just another civilian? Or something more? Jimin's hand moved to his gun, but Tai grabbed his arm. A warning. They were outnumbered. This wasn't the time. We'll draft the agreement, Jimin said through clenched teeth. You have 48 hours to review and sign. After that, if you come near any witness from that gallery, especially her, I'll burn your entire organization to the ground. Understood. Understood. Choi stood, still smiling that infuriating smile. It's been a pleasure doing business with you, Kim. I'll be in touch. As soon as they were back in the car, Jimin was on the phone. Double security on the penthouse. Now. I want eyes on every entrance, every exit. No one gets close. Boss, what happened? Tai asked. He knows about Amora. He knows she matters to me. That makes her a target. Then maybe it's time to send her away. Get her out of Seoul entirely. No. Not yet. 48 hours. If this truce holds, she's safe. If it doesn't. He didn't finish the sentence. When Jimin got back to the penthouse, Amora was pacing. She ran to him the moment he walked in, checking for injuries. You're okay. Thank God, you're okay. I'm fine. The meeting went, as well as it could. What does that mean? Jimin pulled her to the couch and explained everything. The proposed truce. Choi's knowledge about her. The 48-hour waiting period. So I'm still in danger, Amora said quietly. You're always going to be in danger as long as you're connected to me. That's the reality of my world. Then I'll leave. I'll go back to Nigeria, just like you said. No. The word came out fierce. I can't lose you. Jimin, you just said. I know what I said. But that was before. Before I realized how deep this goes. Before I understood that losing you would destroy me. He took her hands, holding them tightly. I've been thinking about what you said. About having a different life. About taking chances. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe we do this. Maybe we run. Together. Leave Seoul, leave Korea, start over somewhere they can't find us. Amora's eyes went wide. You can't be serious. Your family, your entire life is here. My life is with you. Everything else is just existence. Jimin cupped her face. I've spent 29 years being what everyone else wanted me to be. Doing what I was told. Following the path that was laid out for me. And I've been miserable. But these past 5 days with you, I've felt more alive than I have in my entire life. That has to mean something. It means everything. Tears were streaming down her face now. But running. They'll never stop looking for you. I know. But I'm good at what I do. I have resources, connections. I can keep us safe. And the risk is worth it if it means I get to be with you. Are you sure? Really sure? Because once we do this, there's no going back. Jimin had never been more sure of anything in his life. This woman, this beautiful, brave, infuriating woman had broken through every wall he'd built. She'd shown him what life could be. What love could be. Yes. Love. He loved her. After 5 days, it was insane and reckless and completely true. I'm sure, he said. Are you? Amora laughed through her tears. I must be crazy. But yes. Yes, I'm sure. Let's do it. Let's run. They spent that night planning. Jimin had money hidden in various accounts his family didn't know about. Fake passports. Safe houses in countries with no extradition. They'd go to South America first, then maybe Europe. Keep moving until the trail went cold. It wasn't a perfect plan. It was barely even a good plan. But it was theirs. My question for today, Amora said as they lay in bed, their last night in Seoul. Hit me. Do you regret it? Saving me that night? Jimin turned to look at her, seeing everything he'd ever wanted reflected in her eyes. That was the first good thing I've ever done. The only good thing. So no. I don't regret it. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Even knowing how complicated it would get. Especially knowing that. Because complicated means real. Complicated means you matter. And you, Amora Okafor, you matter more than anything else in this world. She kissed him, soft and sweet. I love you. I know it's fast and crazy, but I love you. I love you too. More than I thought I was capable of loving anyone. The next morning, they were ready. Bags packed, tickets purchased, escape route planned. They just had to make it to the airport. But when they opened the penthouse door, Jimin's father was standing there. Kim Dae-jung was a large man, imposing even in his 60s. His face was carved from stone, his eyes cold as winter. Father. Going somewhere, son? Jimin stepped in front of Amora protectively. How did you find out? I know everything that happens in this family. Did you really think you could just leave? Run off with some woman and abandon your responsibilities? She's not some woman. Her name is Amora, and I love her. Dae-jung's eyes flicked to Amora, assessing her like she was property. Love. What a childish notion. Love is weakness. Love gets you killed. Then maybe I deserve to die for something that actually matters instead of living for something I hate. You ungrateful. Dae-jung took a step forward, but Tae appeared from the hallway, gun drawn. Boss said if anyone tried to stop him, even family, I was to intervene. Sorry, sir, but I'm with him on this. Other men appeared. Jimin's personal security team. All of them armed. All of them loyal to him, not to his father. Dae-jung's face went red with rage. You turn your own men against me? Against the family? I'm not turning anyone against anything. I'm just leaving. Let me go, father. Let me have this one thing. And if I don't? Jimin's voice went cold. Then this ends badly for everyone. Your choice. The standoff lasted an eternity. Finally, Dae-jung stepped back. You walk out that door, you're no longer my son. You're no longer a Kim. You're dead to this family. Do you understand? I understand. And if they come for you, when they come for you, we won't help. You'll be on your own. I know. I'm counting on it. Dae-jung looked at him one last time, something that might have been sadness flashing in his eyes. Then it was gone. Go. Before I change my mind. Jimin took Amora's hand and they walked past his father, past the life he'd known, past everything familiar and safe. The elevator ride down felt like falling. The car ride to the airport felt like flying. Are you okay? Amora asked, squeezing his hand. I don't know. Ask me when we land. Where are we landing again? Buenos Aires. Then we'll figure out the rest. At the airport, Jimin kept expecting his father's men to appear. Kept expecting this to be a trap. But they made it through security, through boarding, all the way to their seats. As the plane took off, Seoul disappearing below them, Amora turned to him with tears in her eyes. We did it. We actually did it. Yeah. We did. Jimin kissed her, not caring who saw. No more hiding. No more running. Just us. Just us. You know what the crazy thing is? Jimin said, pulling back to look at her. I should be terrified. I just abandoned everything I've ever known. But I'm not. Because I have you. And that's enough. More than enough. They settled into their seats, hands intertwined, watching the clouds roll past. The future was uncertain. Dangerous. Full of unknowns. But for the first time in his life, Jimin wasn't afraid. Because he wasn't alone. He had Amora. And she was worth every risk, every sacrifice, every impossible choice. She was addictive. And he never wanted to be sober again. 6 months later, they were living in a small coastal town in Portugal. Jimin had grown a beard, changed his appearance. Amora was teaching English online to students around the world. They lived simply, quietly, always watching their backs but also building something real. One morning, Amora woke to find Jimin making breakfast, humming to himself. Something he'd never done before. You're happy, she observed. I am. Is that weird? It's perfect. She wrapped her arms around him from behind. You know what I realized? What? You saved me that night in the warehouse. But I think maybe I saved you too. Jimin turned in her arms, kissing her softly. You absolutely did. You saved me from a life that wasn't living. You showed me what it means to be human again. To feel things. To want things beyond power and control. So no regrets. Not a single one. Good. Because I have news. Something in her tone made Jimin's heart skip. What kind of news? Amora took his hand and placed it on her stomach, still flat but holding their future. The kind that means our family is growing. Jimin stared at her, processing. A baby. They were having a baby. A new life, completely untouched by the violence of his past. A fresh start in every possible way. Are you scared? Amora asked. Terrified. But also, excited. I never thought I'd be a father. Never thought I deserved to be. You'll be amazing. I know you will. How do you know? Because you're already amazing with me. And because you chose love over fear. That's what good parents do. Jimin pulled her close, holding her and their unborn child. His family. His real family. Not the one he was born into, but the one he chose. The one he fought for. The one he ran across the world to protect. I love you, he whispered. Both of you. More than words can say. We love you too. Always. Outside, the Portuguese sun was rising over the ocean, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day. A new life. A new beginning. And somewhere far away, in Seoul, Kim Dae-jung sat in his office looking at photos of his son. Happy. Smiling. Free. And despite everything, despite his anger and pride and stubbornness, he was glad. Some men were meant for violence. But others, the lucky ones, were meant for love. His son had figured that out just in time. If you enjoyed this story of love, danger, and second chances, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more Afro K-drama stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought about Jimin and Amora's journey. Would you risk everything for love like they did? Your engagement helps us bring you more amazing stories, so don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.